but I'm not going to wear it or anything. It's a prop. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to read from my first novel that just came out a few weeks ago. It's called The Clover House, and it tells the story of a young Greek-American woman who travels back to her mother's native city to sort through an inheritance from her uncle. And she goes to the city of Patra, and the mask is, she arrives during carnival season, and Patra has a kind of unique carnival tradition. It's the New Orleans of Greece, kind of, and its traditions are fairly similar to European carnival traditions, except for this one series of 3 dances. Now, other carnivals have masked balls, but these dances are called the burbouli dances because in Greek the word burboulizi means it simmers, something simmering, and at these dances passions simmer. And the rule is that the women, I usually have 2 props, but I didn't bring it this time. The women wear something called the domino, which is obviously this sort of old European item with an Italian name, but it's a black garment with a hood, and in the old days they would be tailored to be sort of alluring, and they wear masks like this, so they're completely incognito, and they get to choose the dance partners. The men are wearing like normal clothes, and at these dances it was always this great mixing of classes because the servants would dance with their bosses, and the bosses might not know that it was their servant, and all kinds of salacious things would take place. And I'm just going to read a 10-minute scene in which the protagonist, Callie, is going to one of the burbouli dances with her cousin's husband. So she has left for this inheritance sifting trip upon getting engaged, and she's feeling rather ambivalent about that. So, Nikos disappears into the bedroom to put in collar stays and studs. Let me start again so I can actually see what I'm doing. All right. Nikos disappears into the bedroom to put in collar stays, shirt studs, and cufflinks, leaving behind a fog of alcohol and cologne in the bathroom. I rummage through Aliki's makeup to find some thick mascara and some liner and shadow darker than anything I had brought from Boston. Even though I'll be wearing a mask, I go for a smoky eye, which seems right for the occasion. I draw the liner out a bit past the outer corner of my eye, Cleopatra style. Aliki brings me a wine glass and a skirt of hers to wear with a pair of black boots I had brought with me. I pull on my white shirt with the long placket, and then pull the domino over my head. Taking a drink, I see Nikos in the mirror, his heaviness slimmed by the jet black of his tuxedo. He stands a few feet behind me and looks at my reflection with an appraising eye. See, I told you should go, he says. Wouldn't want to waste this. Aliki, he calls over his shoulder. You didn't tell me our cousin was a woman of mystery. That's me, all right, woman of mystery. I finish the wine before squeezing past him into the hall. The mask makes it easier for me to face my mother. What do you think? I ask her. Appropriate, she says. Nikos gathers up his wallet and keys from the small table in the foyer, and without saying anything, hands me the spare key to the apartment. When I frown at him, he murmurs, just in case. I hike up the domino into the pocket of the skirt, just as Aliki and Dimitra come into the foyer to see us in our burbouli finery. What are you doing, Thea Calliope? Adjusting, Dimitrakimu. I smooth the fabric back down over the skirt. I'm leaving now too, my mother says. Aliki makes the customary sounds of regret, but no one is fooled, so the 3 of us go down in the clanky elevator, with Nikos and me in our burbouli get-ups, and my mother in her tailored coat and foulard scarf. We kiss on the cheeks, my mother being careful not to smudge my makeup, and go our separate ways. I wasn't planning to pull up the hood of the domino until I reached the burbouli itself. No reason to walk about the streets covered from head to toe like some woman in a burqa while the man struts beside me in his best suit. But when I catch sight of a group of dominoed women across the street, all of them with hoods and masks, I am reminded that this garment is more about revealing than concealing. Carnival, everything turned upside down. The women opposite me move with lithe steps down the slope of the street, their gloved arms making elegant gestures to punctuate their laughter. Nikos must feel like an aged uncle, having to walk with me while he would rather be getting a head start on his seductions. So Nikos, I say, pulling up my hood against the chilly air, why won't my mother talk to you? Don't you know? It's because I come from nothing. I have no name. But your business, I know, he says breezily. I started out stripping wires for outlets, and now I've got 4 lighting stores, plans to build a 5th, but it's new money, and I have no education. He shakes his head in mock despair. Oh, brother, don't even ask about him. I look over, but Nikos just smiles. I thought there was a chance that having your mother there would drive Aliki out of the house. Maybe she'd have come with us. What's going on with you and her? What kind of a question is that, he asks, so American. No, this is a serious question. Why is she so docile all of a sudden? Why is she letting you get away with all this? I expect him to be flustered, to deny, to feign ignorance. Instead, he smiles down on me and wags his head sagely from side to side. Why not, he says. Oh, so we're talking about the same thing. If you mean my life as a flesh and blood normal Greek man, then yes. I stop and turn to face him. A group of people in street clothes parts around us and then reforms. It's such shit, Nikos. Are you really going to claim that as a defense? I don't need a defense, dear Calliope, because I'm not doing anything wrong. Maybe in America where you're all so prudish, but not here. I don't think Aliki agrees with you on that, Nikos. He resumes walking. Well, then Aliki needs to be reminded of a few events from her past. Yeah, she told me. Oh, you discussed it? I was worried about her. Just because she played around before doesn't mean she's okay with it now. We all do stupid things when we're young. You're an adult now, Nikos. Time to grow up. Look who's talking. You're the one who's in a state of perpetual childhood. What's that supposed to mean? How old are you, Calliope? 20? Sorry, 30? 32? No kids? No husband? Now you've come here to take care of this inheritance, but instead you're cavorting around with these young guys you hardly know, and your excuse is that you can't get anything done because it's carnival? I am clenching my jaw, trying to keep my fiercest, most unassailable expression on my face. Nikos leans toward me, placing a hand on my arm. I fight the urge to shake it off. I've noticed the drinking, cousin. Oh, come on. You all drink wine with every meal. You're complaining about me? We drink when we're happy. He takes his hand away and shrugs. It's just something I noticed. So maybe you're not the only one on the lookout. Don't get me wrong, the women in this family have it pretty tough. You and Aliki have my sympathy. Oh, we do? Is all I can trust myself to say, a cliched irony. You do. He's so earnest and well-meaning all of a sudden. I want him to be the slimy Greek man he was just a few moments ago. He goes on, it can't be easy to be their daughters. He slips his hand under my arm and leads me down Corinthou Street towards Platia Georgiou, where the lights from the square are glowing orange. He is laughing now. Don't let Sophia and Thalia fool you. They bicker all the time. Not that I can see. You're not here that much, are you, cousin? The question smarts, and I don't like thinking of my aunts in conflict. Nestor was the only smart one, poor man, Nikos goes on. He traveled, he got away, a lot like your mother. Both outsiders, both of them wanting to see more of the world. I think of my mother covering the windows of the ranch house with brown paper when she first arrived in America. I don't know why Nestor and Cleo argued so much, he says. Not like Sophia and Thalia, real arguments. They hardly spoke to each other, I say, remembering all of a sudden the sarcastic questions and curt replies that made up their conversation. Right, they should have been allies. Against what, I wonder? We reach the edge of the square. The Apollon Theater is to our right, a grand neoclassical building lining the entire block with a colonnade at street level, echoed by a colonnaded balcony above. Giant floodlights in the square are aimed at the building's facade. Shadows flit over the pale yellow stucco as people dart across the front of the enormous bulbs. Most of the people here are in dominoes and tuxes. The dominoes move with purpose toward the entrance, while the tuxes wander among them, already maneuvering to be chosen or to choose. Nikos stops at the edge of the crowd and turns to me. Look, Calliope, about Aliki. I don't have a problem with what she did, and she really doesn't have a problem with what I do now. If she does, though, we'll talk about it. She and I. So you see, there's no one you need to defend. No one you need to watch over. I'm not so sure of that. Besides, he says, you're not here to watch over me. You're here to be seen. Admit it. In this thing? He puts a hand under my chin, not altogether comfortably. No woman paints her eyes like that when she wants to blend into the crowd. I'm conscious that people have noticed us. I am enough shorter than Nikos that it's possible people think I am his daughter, a wayward girl caught by her father on the way to a secret dance. I don't say anything because I sense Nikos is right. Let's go, Nikos says, and pulls me into the wave of people heading toward the doors. As soon as we are into the colonnade, he lets go and blows a kiss at me over his shoulder. I call after him, losing him immediately as the force of the crowd pushes me into the dance. The room is much bigger than I had imagined, and it is packed with people. Techno music thumps loudly. People are dancing beneath a web of streamers hung from the carved ceiling. I see now that not every man is wearing a tux, and that some have opted for business suits while others are wearing jeans and button-front shirts. The disparity between the openness of the men and the concealment of us women is startling. As I stand by the wall, I have the odd feeling of having wandered naked into a room full of the dressed. There are many more men here than women. I spot the women in the crowd from the shininess of their fabric, a fabric whose slinkiness and thinness makes them and me look vulnerable. But there is nothing vulnerable about what is going on a few feet away from me. A woman with a parrot blue feathered mask is drawing one gloved arm around the neck of a handsome young man, while with the other she tugs his hip toward her. His face bears a look of exhilaration tinged with fear. Perhaps this is his first ubuli. I think of how Jonah would be in this gathering. No tux for him. He would be wearing his button flies with a good white shirt. He would have chosen his skinny dark green pumas to signal he was dressing up. Would he stay with me, or would he go and find someone else, I wonder? Or would I? Thank you.